I gotta wait. How long I gotta wait for a press record?
Go.
Welcome to the share, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
I'm Dreme, a black woman with many beautiful interconnecting identities. A few I will name at this moment as we get started on this podcast journey together. A Bostonian, born and raised in the inner city, Dorchester and Roxbury neighborhoods, to a teenage single mother who has my whole heart. An educator, I've been working with youth and children since my teenage years, and formally, I have been teaching almost a decade now. That's wild to think about. An entrepreneur, I am the founder of The Chair, a black and brown centered tech platform dedicated to supporting people on their hair journey, where you can design hairboards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a more joyous experience. I have a workable site, my prototype. It took me 2 years to build, and now I'm on this adventure that you're currently on with me. My goal for this podcast is to share stories, black stories, educator stories, entrepreneurship stories, and hair stories. I want you to leave each episode with the opportunity to gain new insight, just a glimpse into my world or the worlds that are featured on my podcasts, a little chuckle during your day or night, possibly a little anger to encourage you to advocate for justice, and hope to continue learning and dreaming. So come in and listen to the beautiful voices in the chair as they share their stories, starting with me.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Jawan. Jawan, can you please introduce yourself?
What's going on, neighbors? My name is Juwan Skeens. I am a candidate for Massachusetts State Senate for the 1st Suffolk and a lifelong Boston resident.
Jawan and I met just actually very recently through my mother. My mother is really into local politics, and so we're always talking local politics. So when I moved back, Jawan was walking in the neighborhood, and my mom was like, you got to meet him. He is doing so much for the community. And so when I reached out to talk to you for the podcast and you said yes, I was super, super ecstatic to chat with you.
Yeah, no, I was saying same here. Your mom is just amazing. We started those Grove Hall and Color events together, which is where me and you had the chance to meet at that location. And just to see the progress of us starting to activate it as a vacant lot. It's on its journey to becoming a full-blown community center. I'm just truly amazed at the progress that's been made. So I applaud your mother just for her vision, her support, her creativity, because it wouldn't have gotten done without her.
Yeah, my mother has been a community activist for over 25 years. So as a kid, we were always brought along to all these events. And, you're just like, oh, man, I just got to lick envelopes and talk to all these people. You don't understand the importance of all these community events until you get older. I'm truly thankful for all the community events that I was dragged to as a child and the importance of just community organizing. So I'm curious to know, did you always want to go the route of politics and organizing?
I would say my inspiration, for the most part, started at the age of 13. I would say that because that was the age where I lost my best friend, Stephen Odom, to gun violence. He was innocently murdered at the young age of 13 back in 2007. Our community just did not know how to deal with that trauma. Boston Public Schools did not have the mental health recovery resources to help the students. So oftentimes we had to bear this burden on our shoulders and try to pull ourselves out of that rut. But one thing our neighbors did was come together. So all of our neighbors who live next door to each other We're part of a neighborhood association that was founded in 2009 called Redefining Our Community Neighborhood Association in Dorchester. So since 2009, at a young kid, like you said, I was going to these community meetings, not exactly knowing the overall benefit to it. But, I eventually became, how I would say it takes a village to raise a child. That child becomes part of that village and has to raise the new generation coming up behind them. So I had a chance to learn how to connect. Well, through that nonprofit work with our community, we started to connect each other to city, state, federal resources to resolve our concerns. And after Stephen passed 2007, during when we were in middle school, I went to high school and I became the senior class president of my student body and junior varsity debate champion for the Boston Debate League. I would say that's pretty much where it initiated my need for public advocacy, if you will.
At that time, when I think about community activism, people turn to law or decide to turn to health or social work. You continue to go the political route. What was the draw? You talk about where you started, but what continued to tickle the back of the neck? What was that?
Yeah. I would say after high school, you work those customer service jobs trying to figure out where your passion is in life. And you have two choices after high school, go to college or work full time and pay some bills. I chose to work full time because I felt like inside of high school, we only had 2 guidance counselors to almost about 200 to 300 graduating seniors. We all got the individualized time to feel secure in the transition into college. So while I was working those customer service jobs after high school, I was at home one day and I get a knock at my front door. It's Andrea Campbell. She lets me know that she is running for District 4 Boston City Council. I said, great, what is that?
That sounds exciting. Tell me more.
Inside of school, they don't teach you about local politics and the role that they play in your day-to-day lives. Given that I, had that interest in high school, I asked to volunteer on her campaign from May to November of 2015. She brought me aboard full-time as her neighborhood liaison, 2.5 years, the areas of Dorchester, Roxbury, and Mattapan, connecting almost 22 neighborhood associations to city, state, federal resources to resolve our concerns, including ROC, right? That was my neighborhood association, so I cover them and manage them as well. They were part of the 22, and basically this was my way of giving back to the community.
Look, it's my commercial. We will be right back.
It's more than just a bad hair day. It's a journey. Finding the right hairstyle isn't easy, nor is finding the right stylist or the right products. Looking in every corner of the web gets messy, overwhelming, and exhausting. All the ads, the articles, the products, the videos, it shouldn't be this hard. But it is. And now, it isn't. The Chair. A black and brown centered platform where you can design hairboards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a new, joyful path on your hair journey. Avoid the clutter, save yourself hours, months, and even years of research and poor trial and error. Everything you need and only what you need is in one place. Hairboards made by people like you, for you. Find the right products, the right people, the right answers for you, stress-free. Join the Chair community and make every day a great hair day. When you share your pain, you allow others to help you. And when you share your success, you help others get theirs. Lean on the Chair. We got you. No stress, no strife. In the chair, the chair, the chair. All right.
Working with Andrea Campbell, I'm curious to know, as you're exploring all these conversations with all these different neighborhood associations, is there a commonality when it comes to how people express their concerns?
Absolutely. One thing I really learned is that everybody, regardless of neighborhood, everybody is saying the exact same thing, but they're just not saying it to each other. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? Because if we're just working in our own silos, we're just going to keep fighting for the same resources versus if we're fighting together, we can get exactly what we need.
Can you give me an example?
872 Morton Street would be a perfect example of a community collaboration. And basically, that was a former B3 police station at 872 Morton Street. It was abandoned for years. The city ended up tearing down the building, so it became an empty, vacant green space for a few years. Rock started off with a community vision revisioning exercise for what they wanted the land to be. After Stephen passed, I believe Mayor Menino actually was the one who gave the land to Rock in order to basically build what the community's vision would want to be. After the COVID-19 pandemic, and while that lot was still vacant, we definitely saw the disparities that happened inside of our community, and we felt like there was no space to help us navigate through the pandemic. So one thing the neighbors did was create a petition, and I managed this effort, created a petition with the neighbors. We gathered over, I want to say, 900 signatures and the support of about 14 neighborhood associations, some of who were some of the 22 neighborhood associations that I managed when I was working for the city council. We said, hey, we want to have a life skills training and wellness center at this location. One, to teach each other how to navigate through any other pandemic, but also on the other side, learn how to teach each other to build generational wealth. That's basically what happens when community comes together. When we fight together, we can win the things that we deserve. As of right now, 872 Morton Street is fully erected as it's building. It has about 40 units, housing units, 12 affordable home ownership, 28 rental units. We have the life skills training and wellness center that's going to be on the back of the building, along with Stephen P. Serenity Garden that's going to be on the outside.
You're super community driven, really thinking about teamwork. How do people keep your trust when you become a politician, when politicians now are striving to feel more like untouchable celebrities instead of service providers?
Absolutely right about that. Definitely there's a difference in the leadership of everybody who's elected. When I was working for Andre Campbell, we definitely prioritize what is known as constituent services. So if you live, of course, inside the city of Boston or Massachusetts or inside the United States, you're known as what is called a constituent. And basically it's nothing different from like a registered voter or a neighbor inside the state that you live in. And basically, when we were inside the city council, our goal was, of course, to prioritize constituent services, responding to concerns as soon as they came in. And I just feel like right now the government is missing reliability, accessibility, transparency, and effectiveness. And it's not even just right now, it has the history of doing it. And I just feel like if we want better representation, then we have to be the change that we want to see. That means informing ourselves about who's on the ballot. If you feel like you're passionate enough to run for office to serve your community, then you do it. Because sometimes it's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to get up and take control of your future. And that's exactly what I chose to do.
With taking charge, you're like, hey, I'm going to step up. I want to be this vision. I want to be this change. How do you feel like your identities are intertwined into that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to run on identity politics. I personally don't like pandering to just one culture in that way.
Mm.
Just feel like it's insulting. Definitely, if you want to talk about the initiatives and efforts that you want to do to make this world a better place, I think that is great. But when you just start to, leave out a whole culture, you don't come across as someone who wants to unify or make this world a better place. And I just don't feel like your leadership is needed. You know what I mean? And as far as like identity plays into it, yes, I am a Black man born and raised in Dorchester, but that's not all I am. You know what I mean? I also been traumatized. I've also growing up looking for housing inside the city that no one can really afford. You have about $3,000 for a 500 square foot bedroom with no green space, no balcony. You know what I mean? So I just feel like we're moving in the wrong direction when it comes to serving the people who were born and raised here. Me being a Black candidate, it's important because people know that if he can do it, so can I. When Obama was in office, he served during my high school years from 2008 to 2012. So if he can do it, I can do it. Yes, identity politics plays a part, but that doesn't have to be the sole mission of the candidate.
I hear you, but how do you talk about unification and teamwork if people are going to be like, well, let's not talk about color, and it comes across as more of a color blindness conversation because they're
Mm.
taking away color to talk about unity, but identities are a part of that. How do you talk about that?
I definitely am in support of having your own spaces inside of your own culture where you can teach your history and education in order to raise the next generation. I'm in strong support of that. Now, as far as when it comes to colorism, my biggest thing is we all human beings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Regardless color of our skin, we're all human beings. We're all citizens. Obviously, for the Black community, we've been left behind far too long. We keep being skipped over time and time again. That's nothing new. And personally, for me, I'm not going to keep allowing that. Like Shirley Chisholm said, if you want a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. I feel like we need to motivate our own culture to not be so reliant on government. And part of that is being able to teach each other what our values are. And I am a very big advocate on creating that space where cultures can teach each other how to build generational wealth and about their history.
Mm. With that, what is the point of being a politician? What is your point if you're like, people should be able to advocate for themselves? People should be able to have access to these resources. What is a politician's role in that?
Yeah, the politician's role is to definitely one guide you towards those resources, right? Right now, not everybody has access to those resources. Being able to bring the community to those resources is what I've been doing for years. It is connecting us to city, state, federal resources to help resolve our concerns rather than only waiting for the government to take action. A lot of the motivation can come from within, but people just don't understand their value. And I feel like if we educate people about the importance of their history, their value, where they come from, they'll start to embrace it a little bit more and become a little bit more self-reliant.
And so you as a politician, you're guiding people towards resources and teaching value. What does that look like? How would you start that?
It's a two-part, if you will. Outside of politics, I started my own nonprofit. It is called Buy, Believe, Inspire, Repeat Treehouse. And basically, through that work, our goal is to inspire our youth and families to develop themselves emotionally, professionally, mentally, emotionally, and encourage them to reach their full potential. There's that side of, teaching the generational wealth piece as well. But then there's the side of politics where it's like, okay, well, what resources are out there to help fund these types of initiatives so that way we can focus more on the work and less on what's taking people away from being their true authentic selves.
Oh, and if you're interested to learn more about my experiences as a Black woman and educator in Guangzhou, China, I wrote my first ebook titled Nowhere and Everywhere, Captured Emotions of a Beautifully Broken Love Story. It is on lulu.com. Take a read and see some beautiful photography of mine. Enjoy the rest of the show. My podcast is called The Chair to be able to talk about, educate each other on other people's stories. And a part of that is your hair and the journey that comes with that. And I'm wondering, do you remember the first time you fell in love with your hair?
Yeah. So I grew up in church. My mom had me in there every Sunday to the age of 18. So I was often in, the suit and ties with my bald fade and part. That just became like my identity. And, I haven't deviated from it. So usually every time you see me, sometimes I'll have that faded apart. But as of recently, and like you said, our elected officials try to become celebrities, and sometimes I don't feel like getting a haircut. You know what I mean? There are days where I just want to let my hair grow out. And when I did that, that was something beautiful too. I would say the journey in loving my hair has grown and it's still growing. But I love every part about me. I wouldn't want to be anybody else doing anything else. I truly believe that I'm exactly where I need to be doing exactly what I'm supposed to do.
Do you feel the cut that you get is strength and comfort because it reminds you of how you grew up in the church?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, inside of church, they were just very big on, making sure that you, especially Easter Sunday, those are the best Sundays. They just made sure that I appreciate church because it gave me a sense of professionalism before I even, touched high school or anything. I've already was given morals and values. So like, they made sure I always kept a nice cut, a nice smile. And basically it just transferred from there into my everyday life. And I'm truly grateful. And I feel like more young people definitely need God inside of their lives. But yeah, my hair is 100% because of church. 100%. Yeah, and I stayed with one barber. I don't like to bounce around the barbers because my barber gets mad too. So yeah, my hair's been a journey. I love it. I just thank God for it. That's all I can say.
And last question, when it comes to meeting young people who are interested in getting into politics, what 3 pieces of advice do you have for them?
Oh, 3 pieces of advice I would give to anyone coming into politics. One is to love yourself and know who you are. I just feel like inside of politics, people willing to sway you if you don't have morals and values. Like if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. So I think that's important is, knowing who you are and believing in yourself. The second thing would be not everybody is going to support you. And I think you need to be aware of that and know that, some of your biggest supporters will be strangers. And you make great relationships meeting new people. The third thing that I would leave, don't make promises you can't keep. It's important that you are not putting more on your plate than you can chew, and don't deviate from the mission that you created for yourself. So those are really my biggest advice. Just remember who you are, believe in yourself, and be your true authentic selves. Don't get caught up in the hype. Just focus on what you came in there to do and do it well.
Well, Juwan, thank you so much for sitting in the chair and sharing your stories. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Dreme. This was a very amazing discussion, and definitely keep me posted on how I can support more of your work in the future.
Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
Thank you for listening to an episode of The Chair. I, of course, would love your continued support. Let me know what you think of this episode by doing all the things. Subscribe, comment, and come back next week, every week. Enjoy the rest of your beautiful day. Or if you are like me, enjoy that moonlight and that one star under all your city lights. Love you. Talk to you later.
The chair.
How long I gotta wait for a press record?
Go.
We support her. Shit.
Do your...
Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dreme always has a story. Where we share